28th of August, and I'm interviewing my grandfather. What's your name and age?
My name is Hugo Alexandro Carretti. I was born in 1942. I am 76 years old.
Okay, so what was it like growing up in the 50s and the 60s?
In the 50s and 60s, life was simple, absolutely simple. We used to play down in the swamp and in the water and muck around like that, and we didn't have any cars or no television. All it was just a radio, and we used to listen to stories like series, half-an-hour series on shows. It was just a simple life.
Yeah. So, how many siblings do you have? And
I've got a brother and a sister. My sister's older than me 1 year, and my brother's 8 years younger than me.
Were you close with your parents?
Yeah, we're very, very close. Dad never did anything. He worked in a market garden, but he never disciplined us at all. Mum was the one who was very, very strong with us. But Dad was very quiet. He just worried about his garden, and that's it.
Because you worked on the market garden.
Yeah.
So what was school like?
School was great. I went to Osborne Park State School. It was really great. It was nothing like it is now. There's no pressure. The teachers were really tough. The teachers, I know one teacher he had a piece of timber, or a small piece of timber, that if you did something wrong, he used to hit you across the bottom with that. And if you held the pencil too tight and your knuckles are up, he'd come around with a ruler and hit you on the ruler. You're supposed to hold the pencil straight. But he was a tough teacher, but he was a good teacher.
So, what did you and your mates get up to on the weekends?
Well, in the 50s and the 60s, at the end of the 60s, I had a car, and we used to go to the beach in the summertime, and in the wintertime we used to play football. Otherwise, in the early 50s, late 40s and early 50s, we just played with our next door neighbours down in the swamp and in the water, and we used to go down to the creek and catch juggies. Juggies is like a little marron, a little small marron. And that's about all we used to do.
Pretty simple.
Yeah.
So, what were the smoking habits like for you and even others back in the 60s?
In the 60s, everybody smoked, and I didn't smoke much, but my peers, they used to come on and say, "Oh, don't be a wimp, have a cigarette," and that's how I started to smoke. But I stopped smoking in 1972 when the government brought out on television smoking was a health hazard, so I stopped smoking then. But otherwise, in the 60s, everybody smoked. It was part of life.
Yeah, it was something like 86% of people smoked.
Well, it was probably around, between 80 and 90 for sure, yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So, you said that you worked on a market garden. What was that like?
Well, on the market garden, I used to come home from school, I used to come home from school, and the first thing I had to do, I had to go out in the garden and get carrot tops to feed the horse and the cows, because we had a horse and a cow, and then I had to go and feed the chooks, and then help Dad in the garden.
Jeez.
And that was my Monday to Friday. And Saturday morning and Sunday morning I used to help Dad in the garden, and especially Sunday morning we had to get the garden ready, get the market ready, or the produce ready for the market on Monday. So we had to do it on Sunday, because otherwise you did it on Saturday, it wouldn't be fresh for the market on Monday.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Just the last question, was it, do you leave school earlier?
I left school on my day on the 14th of, when I was 14. We were allowed to leave school at the age of 14, because Dad wanted me to work with him, because he needed help. And at that time, Dad wasn't in the garden anymore. He was in a case making cases for the gardeners, and he needed somebody to help him, so I left school when I was 14 years old.
Jeez. All right, awesome, mate. I think that'd be it.
Okay.
Thanks.